Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Bonus Points podcast. I'm your host Joe Garrett, as always been joined by Ollie Guy. Oi, oi, Ollie! You were waiting for it, weren't you?
I was. And I was like, how loud can I do it? I need to move away, like up here. And but I did a small one.
Okay. Are we going to keep that going, oi, oi, Ollie? It's not too intrusive.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Anyway, hi guys. Today we are going to be discussing Titanfall 2. Little recap of the format in case you're new here. Basically, every 2 weeks we play a game, we discuss it, what we thought about it, what we liked, what we didn't like, and then at the end we put it on a overall ranking with all of the games that we've played. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we have a friendly debate, and then then that's it.
Nice. I mean, why are you recapping on this one specifically? Do you think there'll be lots of new people?
You said that. No, I just realised that I went about a year and a half
without doing it,
not mentioning the format was, and then I realised that for every episode we do, it's someone's first. And
That's true. That's true.
Maybe I can't back that.
Hopefully, it's this one and not Alien Isolation.
That one had some technical difficulties. Anyway, so we are talking about Titanfall 2. This was. I don't know. This is a joint choice, yeah?
Joint pick. After we did a bit of Titanfall 2 for another video. The what was it called? Like a dice rolling skill check video we did. We played a bit of Titanfall 2 in that and we're like, oh, it is good, isn't it? And then we remembered how much we enjoyed it and decided to.
Yeah, kind of in that video, we were like, we should do it on the podcast. Yeah. And men of our words.
Yeah.
We are now
as quickly as 2 or 3 months later, we're doing it.
And it's an interesting one because like most games that we do, either one of us has played and the other one hasn't, and we're kind of like, hey, check out this thing I like. Or it's
me.
or it's a game that neither of us have played, but like we both or one of us has some sort of curiosity about or just thinks it'd be a good podcast game. Well, this is a game where we've both played it, but like I wouldn't say either of us like would be considered Titanfall like fans, like not in a big way.
No, I remember I got it when I got my Xbox One X. It was the first game I bought because I saw it running on your Xbox and I was like, wow, I have to get that.
I have to be like him.
I have to be like him. I'm not normally into shooters, but it looked so good that I went and bought it, and then I think I finished it in 1 or 2 sittings.
And so you did the campaign then. Yeah. And then we played for probably about 2 weeks. We played the multiplayer kind of semi-regularly.
Yeah, and it was pretty close to when it came out, wasn't it?
No.
Was it not?
No, it was way after.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because when did it come out?
2016.
2016.
Yeah, this was way after 2016.
Oh, okay. I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
But it was active.
Yeah, people were. I mean, it was. We played it for this podcast, so it's still active now. I mean, we played on Xbox One X, both of us, and they did do like a 4K update. So it's not like, it's still the Xbox One version.
Oh, yeah, it looks good though.
But like, they've done really good. And it's like, it's the Source engine as well.
I know, it's crazy.
Like heavily modified, but still the fact that like it's got its origins back to like those early Source games, which are really cool and I love, but I wouldn't say like their visuals is the standout thing from them.
No, yeah, definitely like their physics, but then this game doesn't really make use of that, which is actually, I've never really thought about that.
No, not in a big way.
No. Anyway. Shall I quickly read this?
Oh,
get through this bit that we have to do, the official bit.
Yeah, I'll try and stay awake.
Titanfall 2 is a first-person shooter video game developed by Respawn Entertainment and published by Electronic Arts. The sequel to 2014's Titanfall, the game was released worldwide on October 28th, 2016 for PlayStation 4, Windows, and Xbox One. In Titanfall 2, players control Titans, mecha-style exoskeletons, and their pilots who are agile and equipped with a variety of skills ranging from wall running to cloaking. And there's a little bit about the plot here as well. I'm going to do.
Yeah, you're going to do the plot?
Yeah. Set in a science fiction universe, a single-player campaign follows the story of Jack Cooper, a rifleman from the Frontier Militia who bonds with his mentor's Titan BT-7274 after his mentor, Ty Lastimosa, is killed in action.
Jack Cooper.
Jack
Do you
Cooper.
think they were like, okay, we've got to come up with a name. Let's do a list of names. They're like Jack Cooper, and then there was a fire alarm and they all left. And they're like, okay, first option, Jack Cooper.
I think not only did they do it with Jack Cooper, they did it with everything in this game that needed a name. Every single thing that needed a name, except for some reason the villains who were like called something like manufacturing something that's like weird. Otherwise, it's like you're in the militia, you live on Harmony, you are Jack Cooper, like you are like, and then you have the arc weapon or the arc something, which is like the big bad thing. But then you also have the arc gun with a C rather than a K, which is the turning things on and off gun. So it's like, you know.
Do you know? And then your Titan companion is called BT. Do you know what BT stands for?
Bluetooth. But no, beached thing from Death Stranding, isn't it?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of BTs in that.
Okay, no, what was it?
Buddy Titan.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, that's fine.
I don't think they ever say it in the game, but that's that's like internally at least what it. And apparently there was debate among Respawn, the developers, about whether they should call it Buddy Titan, and a lot of people didn't want to.
Yeah, but they didn't bother doing it with the rest of the names.
They were fine with that. Anyway, we're getting off. This has been like the weirdest opening to a podcast, so we haven't really kind of focused in on what this game is. So, first-person shooting made by Respawn. So, if you don't know who Respawn are, basically they are the second wind, the rebirth of Infinity Ward, who still exist today and have some kind of old developers, but the majority of at least the leads of Infinity Ward, who made a lot of the early Call of Duty games, founded the Call of Duty franchise, famously made Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2, which are kind of two of the biggest hits, at least, in their day.
Yep.
So there was a falling out with Activision. They left. They partnered with EA. At this point, EA didn't own them. And then they created Titanfall 1, which was a smash hit exclusively on Xbox, on Xbox 360 and Xbox One.
Yep.
And then they followed it up with Titanfall 2, which is the game that we're discussing. So it's kind of, these are experts of the first-person shooter genre, and this is kind of like, the idea is what would they make if they kind of had a lot more freedom than they had under Activision, under EA.
And I would say it shows.
Yeah.
These guys know exactly what they're doing when it comes to making a first-person shooter. Like, not only do they have the shooting mechanics down completely, like the shooting is so good, they like went the extra mile and added loads of crazy movement that you probably wouldn't have got in a Call of Duty game. Maybe there was that one, wasn't there? What was that one?
So the game came out at the same time as the one that had all of that. So
right.
Yeah, so in Infinite Warfare,
that's it. Yeah,
came out. So one of the other things specifically with Titanfall 2 is, so it didn't fail.
Yeah,
but it certainly didn't reach its potential. It seems to have sold maybe around 4 million, 5 million copies, which isn't a dud, but it's not like EA standard, considering the first one sold over 10 million copies. So, and was exclusive to Xbox. So it didn't meet expectations, but it was released. So Battlefield 1 came out on October 21st, 2016, published by EA.
Yeah.
EA then published Titanfall 2 on October 28th. A week later, they released Titanfall 2.
Oh, no.
And then Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, always the best-selling game every year. It's released Call of Duty, came out on November 4th, 2016.
Was that a week later again?
Yeah, a week later.
Oh, man.
So it's like
it was
sandwiched between two like long-running juggernaut franchises. Like Battlefield was still like, I think it's probably a little bit like not as big as it used to be, but like that was the big thing. And then the CEO at the time, Andrew Wilson, said that Titanfall 2 and Battlefield cater to different types of shooter players, giving EA broad coverage of the genre, was his quote when all the analysts were saying like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, that's a terrible time to release the game, but I think a lesser game would have been crushed a lot more than Titanfall. The fact that Titanfall 2 held its own, and we're talking about it today, shows that they did something right here with this one.
Yeah, I mean, critically, it's like 9s basically across the board. That's probably what I'd give it, a 9.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'd even give it a 10.
Ooh.
Maybe even I'll give it a 10. It was much better than I remembered it being. I remembered it being good when I played it before, but this time round, I was like, this is a crazy roller coaster. And like, I literally, the only thing actually I can say quite a lot of negative things about it. One of the major things is that I just wish there was more of it. And that must be a good thing, right? If it ends and I'm like, God, I wish I was only halfway through.
It is very short.
It's very short, yeah.
Because we have 2 weeks to play through the game. And so like, I started playing it and then I did 2 play sessions. And so I think it took me about 4.5 hours to complete. Yeah, and the credits rolled and I was like, oh, like I've completed it. Like I've like basically still 2 weeks later. I completed it like so long ago.
Yeah. I think I did it in about 3 sessions. And it is like, if you want a game where you run forward and shoot soldiers, this is the best one. Like this to me, this is of that genre of shooter. Like, you know, you aim down sights, you run around, slide. This is the best one.
And single player.
And single player.
In
yeah.
multiplayer, there's competition for multiplayer. There's you know, you could look at Apex Legends, which is in the same universe. You know, even like things like the finals and stuff. I really like. So there's competition there, but in terms of single player, there's very little competition, at least in like the AAA space.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if I was going to play one of these kind of grindy multiplayer games, I said grindy in a night. I don't mean that in a derogatory way.
Like progression
multiplayer game. This would be the one that I would play.
Yeah.
So like, it is very good, and I would say anyone that's enjoyed a first-person shooter, you will have fun with this easily.
Guaranteed.
I can guarantee that. I can guarantee that. But then on the other hand, I feel like now this time I played through it with more of a critical eye. There are some things that are like blindingly obvious that are wrong with it that I kind of didn't notice the first time round, that like stop it being, you know, in my top 10 games of all time.
Well, should we focus on campaign first? Is that where you were going?
Pretty.
With that?
I mean, I played multiplayer with you for about an hour.
Okay.
That's all the multiplayer I played.
Yeah.
So you're definitely the multiplayer expert on that.
Okay, we're going to multiplayer a little bit later on then. So let's go into campaign. So before you kind of get into your critiques, can you kind of talk through what the campaign experience is like in a general sense?
Yeah, so if you imagine any first-person shooter that was released in the last 10 years, so you got like aim down sights, you got regenerating health, you're basically running from A to B. You know, that's the mission most of the time. You're not really looking for anything or backtracking. You're kind of trying to get somewhere. And you can, the character you play as is like, he's got loads of movement skills. So you can like run on walls and vault up walls and slide underneath things. He can turn invisible. So you obviously go through the level shooting enemies. And then every so often, probably about 30% of the time, your Titan will pick you up and put you inside him. And then you can control the Titan.
It's consensual.
Yeah, consensual putting in.
Consensual encasing.
Yes. And then for that section, you'll play as the Titan.
And you can go in and out if you choose, because if you go out, the Titan fights by themselves. So in the fights, you don't really want to. But
and also quite a lot of the time, you're separated, so you can't get in.
Yeah, if you're separate. But when the Titan's there, like it doesn't lock you. It's not like completely Titan level, pilot level. Like often you're in and out throughout the level.
And then usually in that level, you'll meet like the villain of the week. He's like a mercenary, and then at the end of it, you fight them. And then there's about 6 or 7 levels, right?
Maybe.
I think that's about it. On the Titan, when you get in the Titan, you can like obviously get way more hits. You can stomp on enemies. Anything a giant robot could do.
And there's different like classes of Titans that you get at a pretty fast rate. So like you basically will pick up like, it'll look like you just pick up a gun, but then like it changes all of your abilities that you get to use, and you can switch back to other ones if you want, but does a really good job because they kind of redid the way that Titans work compared to Titanfall 1.
Right.
Whereas in Titanfall 1, it was much more about you have a Titan, make a loadout was kind of much more the way it was. Okay. Whereas in this one, there's very distinct classes where this is like the fast one with low health but high melee damage. This is like the sniper one or whatever. And so they're very like different silhouettes. And so this is a good way to kind of teach you to be like, no, you will play all of them, and you will because even if you don't use them, you want to know what you're against.
Yeah, it's like well, I mean, if we start with the beginning of the game, it has a really amazing training mode where it teaches you how to control this character, the pilot, and it's like you're in like an abstract like it's like a Japanesey garden or something with like sakura trees or
he says that it's based on like the person teaching you is like, oh, this is based on my home world. Right, he mentions. Okay, yeah. I think it's like, is it Harmony?
I
think it's called
Harmony. We're fighting for Harmony. So that's the story. So like,
so it's good because it's like it's showing you a little bit of like, this is what you're trying to protect. You know, look how lovely it is.
And
now run along here and shoot the targets.
Well, they could have done the easy thing and just been like, welcome to the grid. And it's like a virtual reality world. But instead they were like, let's make an actual landscape that is amazing to look at and interesting to run through and make that the tutorial. I mean, you can run through it again over and over again. Like, I'm not the sort of person that's going to do that. But
and that's a carryover from Call of Duty. So both Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2, like famously, that also had really amazing tutorials where you're running through and, you know, built up a speedrun community of running through those goals.
But yeah, all of the levels have like their own unique thing. And that's what makes the game like propulsiveness comes from like, I wonder what's going to happen next, because the set pieces are crazy and the like gimmicks, for lack of a better word, are also really good. So that's my overall looking at the game.
By gimmicks, do you mean action blocks?
Who called them that?
So looking in a little bit into the development of the game. So they developed it. So basically, the developers went off and almost did like little game jams within the studio. So someone would work, within the realms, they know they're making a first-person shooter, but they would develop a very unique idea without too many restrictions about how crazy it could be. So things that ended up being kind of very unique moments of gameplay kind of came up from that. And so they kind of had all of these different, like the ones that they liked. And then they were like, now let's make a story to like weave them together. So it was completely gameplay first.
You don't say. I can completely see that. But I will say their level selection is so good. They put the sewer level first. They're that confident that the other levels are good. They're like, we're going to do one in a sewage treatment plant and make it the first level of the game.
It's like, they need that, like, to be a video game, they need to do that tick box. We've got to do a sewer level because we're a video game, but let's just get it out the way.
And they're like, oh, it's all like just grey industrial pipes. And then after that, they're just like, let's go absolutely mental. Make some crazy stuff.
I do always like it when games do that and like, they don't, because like it makes sense because you can tunnel the player a little bit more and then it gives you that wow moment. I always think Halo 1 is like one of the best examples of that, where you start in the ship and just going through like tight corridors and using your torch and stuff, and then like you crash land and it's like, whoa, this giant landscape, like you
and you get the car, then don't you get the car as well, Warthog, and that on the ship, on the alien, on the Halo, on the ring.
Not see, I think you're thinking of
Silent Cartographer.
Yeah, you're thinking of that level.
Is that not that one?
That's not that's not that level. But that is, I
got the spirit.
But that is a great level. But no, that's not the second level.
Oh, okay. But anyway, we get the idea. I got the spirit of the idea.
Yeah. So do you want to talk through? I mean, there's one obvious level which is kind of a standout and kind of gone in almost into the history books as being a great level. Do you want to talk about that, or is there anything?
Well, my favorite level in this game. Are we that level? Are we at that stage now? We talk about favorite level.
You can be whatever stage you want, Ollie.
Well, stage 3, I think it happens to be in this game, which is Into the Abyss, which is the one where they build the houses.
Yeah.
My God, I think that might be one of the best levels ever made. Ignore the fact that it's part of a 1-2 punch, or it comes along with the affecting core levels straight after, which is also amazing. The prefabricated house level is like one of the most amazing levels I've ever played through in my life. And like, I remember the first time around, whenever I thought back about Titanfall 2, I always remembered this level, but I didn't remember it being as good as it was this time around. Like, it's like being an ant in, like, when you see on TV factories, like, making things. Like, imagine being an ant and running along those conveyor belts. That's what this level is like. And because it's all making houses, prefabricated houses, it's like kind of like abstract, like surreal. It's like I'm looking at a house that's moving,
or like
along,
like lawn.
Yeah, like lawn. Yeah, or like, oh, I'm in a house that's sideways.
Yeah, and so like cut in half.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I'm navigating this house that's on its side.
Yeah, and I'm wall running along.
Yeah, it's like or like, oh, I'm sniping out of a window in a house and the house is moving like a car. Like, it is just crazy.
And then it's building up to, because obviously all these houses are going up and it's building like this town up in the surface in like this cool virtual dome. Because at first I got up and I was like, oh my God. I was like, the skybox is a bit low res, and then you were like, oh no, it's screens in world, and then you fight like an arena battle in there.
Yes, it turns out they're building houses to like test weapons or something. I think it's like because they want to collect combat data or something stupid like that. But like, they're testing weaponry and they need houses to fight around, which is why they're building them. But it's just like, I literally cannot believe how good that level is. And then obviously the one after it is the one that everyone knows. Do you want to talk about that? Yeah,
so cause and effect. So basically, it starts off, so there's a thing that allows you to travel through time that they had to find a reason to include in the story because they did an action block about it, and it was too fun to not include. And so at first, you don't have control over it. So at first, you're kind of going through a level, you're going through kind of like this, it's almost like a science lab, and you're at the lab's all broken down and it's like everything's gone and destroyed and post-apocalyptic looking. But then it will keep transferring back to like in its heyday when there's staff and people working there. But when it does, there's guards that are like, you shouldn't be here, and they start shooting you. But then in the current day version, there's like other creatures that are fighting you. So it will keep kind of switching back and forth between these two modes. And then eventually you get this device that allows you to control it yourself when you switch back and forth. And so you end up in these combat situations where I'm fighting humans in like the old time and then aliens in the other one, but in the same room. And so like you could be shooting and then you like, oh no, I'm getting hurt. And so I travel back. It's like, oh no, but you guys are still here.
Like,
but you can do really cool things where it's like, oh, there's like a bunch of people there with like riot shields. I'm going to travel to the old time, go around to behind where they are and switch.
Because they leave like a little after, like a ball after image. It's like, okay, I know roughly where they are because the light's there. So I can sneak around behind them.
Or like, I need to reload my guns. I'm going to switch to the other time. But oh no, these guys are here. So I'm going to run away from them, reloading my guns, and then switch back.
And then also the environmental side of it of being like, oh, I can't go through that door because it's on fire. But if I change time, run through it, and then change back, I'll be past the obstacle. And there's that crazy moment in that level where you're falling down the pipe.
You've got to keep switching back and forth. There's different things blocking in different time periods. So you've got to switch really fast.
Yeah. It's just like, in terms of level design, even the levels that aren't as good are still really good. So like the ones that follow those two, obviously like that 1-2 punch levels is really hard to follow. And the one that is after it isn't as good. I think it's the one where you have to turn fans on and off.
Oh yeah, you're inside, and I can't remember the exact. Yeah, because you start off outside in that area, and the outside of the area is quite cool. And then you go into like this facility where people are held up. But then even then, like that level ends with you kind of climbing up all of these things that are like this crane is moving things you can run along. Like I think they've all got something interesting. Or the end of that level, you get there's the gun that like automatically locks on to enemies.
Isn't that the final end, like final bit of the game?
Yeah.
It has. Oh, that's the other thing. The weapons. All of the weapons are fun, and it's like they've got every variety of weapon you can think of. They've included it in this game. Like they've got that really cool. My favorite one was the like laser SMG that when you stop firing it, it has to cool down. Mm-hmm. But as long as you keep firing it, you can just keep going. That one was like just so much fun to shoot enemies. It's got like the Titans have got ones that like you lock on and then you kind of paint them and then you let go and it shoots at them. Or
they know they made good weapons because when they made Apex Legends, they were like, we'll just copy and paste.
Yeah, they're all so good. Like I think there's a couple of rifles that are a bit similar, but mostly it's like
they're all actually pretty unique. Like there'd be like the RO1, which is the main one, which is like low damage but super accurate, and then there's like the flatline, which is like slightly smaller clip, like less accurate but much higher damage. So it's like they all have their little pros and cons. Of like the Hemlock, which is like a 3 burst weapon. So they actually, I mean, like Apex Legends, like obviously they are, you could put them within categories, but they are all kind of pretty unique.
Yeah, and like we're describing all this crazy stuff, and if you haven't played it, you have to imagine also being able to wall run, turn invisible, and like all of these little movements you have boost your speed a little bit. So you can like, when you slide, you speed up a little bit. When you wall run, you speed up a little bit. So once you get good at it, you're basically like a god. You're like running on the walls and like shooting people through the air. And then as soon as you start to get in a bit of trouble, you have the invisibility, so you just disappear and then replan your attack and run in again. Like the flow of this game is incredible. Yeah, absolutely incredible. But that's, I mean, the big thing we're avoiding talking about is the story. And I don't think it's not like actively bad. It just doesn't really exist.
Well, so when Ollie finished the game, he sent me the credits, and I was like, "Well done, you saved humanity." Then I was like, "Probably." I don't really know. I was like, at least you saved the guys that wear blue.
The guys that wear blue. Yeah, like, just spot on.
Yeah, because I've completed the campaign 3 times now. Yeah. I completed it when the game first came out. I completed it again at some point, maybe 4 years ago, and then for this podcast. And I never knew what was going on with the story. This one, I was like, I'm going to be doing a podcast about this game. I got to pay attention. Yeah. And I still at some point stopped paying attention when they started saying names of places and things. And so, it's not Zone of Enders levels. It's not a complicated story. Like, you could follow along, but like, I don't know how much value you're going to get out of that.
No, I think the story has a few threads, I think. And the one that most people can probably follow is like, you play as like white guy, Jack Cooper, just a guy, but his story is kind of like mixture of like coming of age / finally picked for the team. That's kind of that's the easiest story to follow. It's not that interesting, but it's like he starts off as like, oh, I wish one day I could be a pilot, and then by the end of it, people are clapping him like, you're the best pilot.
Well, it works gameplay wise as well because it's like you're like a rookie, or at least you're a soldier, but not a super soldier pilot guy, so it makes sense that like, oh, you're new because they because you're like learning stuff. Like there's a lot of new things you do throughout the game, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just like
and then there's the relationship. So they try to make like almost like a buddy movie, like a buddy cop movie between you and then BT, which is your Titan, who is a character as well and talks to you, and you can actually sometimes respond in different ways. And so there's an emotional tale told between them, and like you see. You teach BT how to do a thumbs up and stuff. And it's all a bit cheesy, but I think they know exactly how cheesy it is. And I think that's probably the most interesting story because it's kind of the easiest to follow and it's the one that has emotion in rather than like I don't know, like maps and it's like different factions and stuff. It's characters.
I don't know what was going on towards the end of BT. Like he did the I'm going to sacrifice myself for you twice. It's like as if the first one didn't land. He's like, I'm going to do it again.
He's like, I'm going to sacrifice this for you, but it's like, oh, actually, we've got his personality here. Yeah. And then you do one more level, then he sacrifices himself
He's like, I'm going to sacrifice myself for you.
He's like, to change your tune, mate.
Yeah. And then also like, I was going to spoil the end of the game very quickly, but there's a bit where like you take his head off and it has like a homing pistol in it. It's like, why don't you just give that to me at the beginning? Like you've had that the entire time. You've had that all the way through the game, and I'm just. Like it's so stupid, but like that is like I absolutely love this game. I think this game is incredible, but I do think my critiques come from like because I was doing it for this show, I was looking at it a little bit closer, and I kind of feel like when you start to look at things closer, the veneer comes off a little bit, and that gun thing was one of them. And there's things like my favorite level being the prefabricated house one, like. Oh my god, I get it. I'm in a factory that's building houses for this thing. And the other levels are just like, I don't even know where I am. Like, the cause and effect level? It's like you're in a lab doing something. Like, what's happening here? Well, then the one with the fans, it's like, what are the fans doing? They're just pushing against the wall. Like, what's happening here? Like, there's no context really for anything.
Me saying that it was different teams splitting off to come up with a gameplay.
It's really obvious.
But I don't care.
No, it's fun. Yeah. It's like Fast and Furious film. Like, just don't look at it too hard because it can't stand up under scrutiny. But as long as you're there for the ride, you're going to have literally a 10 out of 10.
And it's the type of game that they just don't make games like that. Like they make single player games, but they're usually like much bigger open world game where they create a bunch of gameplay systems that are repeatable many, many times. Whereas here, like they had to do a lot of custom stuff. That like once you step past here, that you passed a trigger which makes this enemy spawn. Like they've planned out the pacing and they've obviously done loads of play testing to know exactly like the way the players could play through. And that's hard now because games are so expensive. But then looking at it, so this game came out in 2016. It was made in 2 years by 90 people.
That's amazing.
So that's like a small team by like AAA standards, and like like I'd say average dev time for a AAA game like nowadays is probably 5 years now. Really, I always used to think 3 years, but that's stretched out.
Also, it looks like it looks like the most expensive game ever made. Like some of the set pieces, there's a level where you're riding on the back of planes and like taking them out, and they're like crashing down. Like. That's great. Like, and that precedes 2 of the best levels I've ever played. Like, it just seems like the budget would have been, astronomical. But I guess if it's made by 90 people in a couple of years.
Yeah, I think it's just
crazy.
It was just made by just complete experts of their field. And obviously this was the sequel they had made. Obviously the campaign was new. The first game didn't have a campaign. It had a story, but it was like told through voiceover during multiplayer games, which is exactly as fun as that sounds. It's like, it's not only is this not a good way to tell a story, also I have a bunch of annoying chatter over my multiplayer game. Like, it didn't work. But like, I mean, I feel like Titanfall is a franchise that like has just had the worst. Like, it could have been cute. It could have been like probably not Call of Duty level, but it could have been the game nipping at Call of Duty's heels. But the first one released at a time when players were not accepting of multiplayer only games. Like, it came out before Overwatch, before Siege, and at the time everyone was like, oh, they're ripping us off for a multiplayer only because people weren't accepting of that yet. And then it also only came out on Xbox. So
it's cross-gen.
What do you mean?
It was Xbox 360 and Xbox One, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was out on but only on the Xbox franchise. But it was different versions. It was a different developer did the 360 port of the 360 one. So it was kind of a little bit held back by those two things. Yeah. And then the second one, addressed kind of all of the major problems with the first game, added this massive campaign, but then just had literally the worst. Like you probably, if you looked at a calendar of 2016, you couldn't pick a worse day.
I mean, if you looked at a calendar from like 2006 to 2016, you probably couldn't pick a worse day.
Literally the worst time that it could have been released, and it just killed. The launch of a game is kind of the most important time.
Yeah,
and I think it didn't flop, and it's because of its quality, it's almost already got this cult status, and people still, especially on PC, like people are still playing it. I think Apex Legends like popularity brought a new wave of interest of like, oh, it's in the Titanfall universe, and I think there's a lot of especially younger people being like, what's Titanfall? Like, let's check it out. Oh my god, this is amazing! Like, and it doesn't look like an old game. Like, it hasn't aged either.
No, it looks amazing. Like the art style is so strong that it looks like a modern game. I mean, it helps that we were playing in 4K 60, but it's like
it looked great back in the day as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, there was a few other things that I thought were quite silly. But I'd love the game. I don't want you to think that I'm ragging on the game. But it's like, it's so close to being like just one of the best games I've ever played. And it's like such small things that are like, when you think about them, it's like, oh no. Like, for example, the game has got loads of variety and you do all these different things, but every boss fight is the same.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could have one that was, they're in a Titan, you're not in a Titan. Or you're in a Titan, they're not. You're chasing them, you're doing this. But every single one is like, they'd just be like, oh, here's like, I don't know, gunman. And he like lands. And then it's like, you just use your ultimate ability and like your missiles and he's just dead.
Yeah, they die super quick.
You just squash them. Like they just absolutely squash them. And I feel like that is such a shame after like, imagine one where you're in the Titan and they're on foot. And they're like running between rooms and like doing something to like deactivate you. Yeah. You have to like try and find where they are and like.
Even if like you're chasing them and there's other things coming out and then eventually they get in their Titan and you have a showdown.
Yeah. There's loads of things they could have done.
I think this is a case of like they know it.
Oh yeah.
Like I think I bet they had plans for that stuff and it just wasn't feasible.
Yeah. And another thing.
The Viper fight. Do you remember the one on the top of the flying ship?
Yeah, that was one that gave me the most trouble. It wasn't hard.
No, but it was the most interesting.
Yeah, because he was also calling out other guys, wasn't
he? Yeah, I think so.
Well, he used the sniper rifle and it was just like fully charged shots on him. I think it was like 5 and he was gone.
Oh.
But the other thing with the Titan actually is like you have this amazing pilot training program where you do all this running through thing, and then with the Titan, there's every so often they're just like, ooh, like throw a gun at you. Don't tell you anything about the gun, but it's like you can use it if you want to open a menu and like go in and find it, and it's like no one really wants to do that. And then it's like they give you these other Titans to fight, and they're like, oh, this one's a Scorch. You fought a Scorch when you had that thing you picked up. But I'm not paying attention to like, I'm not thinking about it like, rock, paper, scissors. I'm just like shooting everything with I played as the Brute pretty much the whole game. The big Titan with like the rocket launchers and stuff. And it was just flattening absolutely everything that stood in the way. So that was a bit of a shame.
And especially because in that tutorial, they go through and like, this is how you all ride and this is how you reload and aim down sights, and they do all of that stuff. And then they're like, and now we're going to teach you how to do a Titan. And oh no, wait, we're under attack. We're going to leave. Yeah. But then they just never tell you.
No, they never
and
tell
in the first game of the tutorial, I really remember it in the tutorial as being like a moment. But like, yeah, it's weird. I mean, I think maybe they were like, you know what, like they know how to aim and shoot and stuff. They're probably like, I mean, I was fine with it because we work it out. It's all right. But yeah, that was quite funny.
Yeah, I think I just don't think I would have thrown as many loadouts at the player. Like there's like 10 loadouts and like seven
I think they wanted to cover all the ones for multiplayer.
Definitely.
I think that's what it is.
Definitely. So it's like when you see in multiplayer, it's like, oh, I saw that for 30 seconds at some point.
Yeah, or at least I used it for a little bit. I think it's also just because of how short the game is.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
That's like, I think if the game was a couple hours longer, they could have spread them out. But it is, I mean, almost like the other mech games, Zone of the Enders.
Yeah.
Where they're like, here's a new sub weapon. It's like, okay. It's like, do you want another one? It's like, wait, 1 second. Yeah. But not as bad as that. But yeah, they do come thick and fast.
Yeah, like obviously BT, great guy. Great little relationship you got. Dialogue system. I don't know if we needed that. Where he's like, let's go. And you could be like, okay, or all right. Like, it doesn't make a difference. It's like it's being used to set up jokes. Like, that's kind of the only thing you use a dialogue system for, which is fine. It's like, it's fun. The game is fun. And you don't look at it too much, it's fine. Like,
and the humor's fine.
Yeah,
Like, it's not cringy. I
they're
don't
like
think.
they think they're setting up these crazy jokes, and like they do them like 3 times, and they're never funny. Where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna throw you," like winking at the camera, and then he like goes to do it again, and it's the same thing again, and it's like it's never funny. Always like, "Oh, I'm gonna take a shortcut," and it goes wrong, and he's like, "I don't think I'll be taking a shortcut again." It's so stupid.
Yeah, I remember.
But
that
it's
moment.
like if you just enjoy it for what it is, it's insane.
So apparently they had a lot of trouble writing the BT character in
It's like
particular.
nothing
Like
you're saying
they
is
were
surprising.
trying to work out like their tone of, and they had a bit of trouble. But I think they landed in a place that's fine.
It's fine, yeah. It's funny. Like it's
but it's not like that could have been another big plus.
exactly.
But
All these things could have been huge pluses.
It isn't.
I also think it would. I mean, this is nothing on the game. This is just me being weird. But how funny BT must appear to the other team. Where to you, he's like, oh, I'm going to throw you, like all chummy. But then to the other team, he's like a murder machine, where like he can kill thousands of soldiers.
But it's like it literally says like, don't even bother shooting them, just walk
or
over
just
them.
stomp on them.
Yeah.
It's like really jolly about it. It's so mental. Like the clashing of like moods is like completely mad.
Obviously, that was like the early Uncharted games where it's just like happy-go-lucky.
Yeah,
Nathan Drake, he's like killed like 60 people today. It's like,
and they're just like mercenaries trying to make money to like feed their families.
And he's there like
blowing
jumping in
their
a swimming pool like Marco Polo, and it's just like you've just wiped out like a whole platoon.
Funny though.
Do we have any questions specifically about the campaign before we transition to multiplayer?
Well, I bundled up a bunch of comments. No question there, but it's good to read out. T-Man Comics said, one of the best FPS games I've ever played. Campaign is great. I shed a tear at the end. I hope you're right now. Huntercraft said, never actually played the online mode, only the campaign. Despite being quite short, it's one of the best campaigns for a game I've ever played. Mr. Jacko said, this is the most fun FPS ever. And The Crazy said, I bought the game in the Steam Summer Sale at the beginning of the month. 30 hours of gameplay later, I can confidently say that I love this game. So it's like, everyone loves it.
You're being proven right so far.
Everyone loves it. It's just like, I want people who haven't played it because they're like, I don't like COD. Those are the exact people that should give us a chance because it is like,
and it's got to be like cheap on everything, super cheap now. I mean, I don't know because obviously I'd already had it bought.
Yeah, I had it as well. Yeah,
like you shouldn't be spending more than a $5 on it nowadays, right? Also, from launch, all of the DLC and updates free forever. They were like, we're not charging. Like we're going to release maps. They're going to be free for everyone. We're not splitting up the community.
Good. As they should.
Yeah, I mean,
nicely done.
They don't do that much anymore, so maybe that was a big failure. But that was cool.
Yeah. Also, we had 2 members, Outlaw the Second and Red Double, mentioned Viper, but like, I can't really remember many of the guys, the evil mercenaries, whatever they are. Like, I remember Viper because he's the one you fight on top of the plane. But in terms of their like personalities, like, there's one that's a robot. I don't really remember. Do you know what I mean? Like, it surprised me. I called that out because it surprised me that people could remember who they were. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they do like the thing where they kind of do like the camera zoom in and their name up on screen, like almost a bit like Borderlands-y, and like they do like voice. So like one of the cooler moments was when, because like, you basically get one of their radios, and so you're hearing them like chatting about you, and then they suddenly realize that you can hear, and they're like, you've been listening in, have you?
Yeah.
Jack Cooper. It's like, but. Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a similar page with kind of all characters and story in this. That it was like it was fine to keep the ball moving, but it was the gameplay that was in the forefront for us.
We had Penguin and Domo in our Discord asking about Titanfall 3, which
we played Titanfall 2, guys. You've got it wrong.
It was cancelled. The Dappist Dan also said, do you think there'll be a Titanfall 3 in the next 10 years, considering all the praise the game has gotten in recent years? In 10 years, Joe.
I think it had its shot. I mean, so obviously, they say it was never officially announced, but it was leaked that it was in development, a new Titanfall something. And it was in the development for it seems like about a year or so. Like, I remember...
They got it half done.
Here.
To the last one.
Not nowadays. Not nowadays. Yeah, and then like EA cancelled loads of stuff, didn't they? There was lots of layoffs and stuff, and Titanfall was in the firing line, and you can kind of see why, because like, you know, they're looking at the number sheets and they're looking at Apex Legends and they're looking at FIFA or Football FC, whatever it is
FC.
nowadays. Yeah, so like, and Titanfall for the investment, especially for doing a campaign, which isn't the moneymaker for like these kinds of games.
Yeah.
Like, you can understand, like, obviously I would love for them to do it. Like, I'm not on their side
Yeah.
but like, you can see like if something was going to get the cut, you see, why it would have been that. I don't think we're going to see it.
I think it's going to happen.
I've
got hope we're going to get Titanfall 3.
I don't think we're going to get a big AAA first-person shooter with a proper single-player campaign, which is Titanfall. We might get something that's Titanfall. I don't think we're going to get like a big AAA boxed game that has campaign and multiplayer. Like, I don't think we're going to get Titanfall 3. We might get Titanfall something.
Party, kart racer.
Like, in the way it's just like, when are we going to get a new Prince of Persia game? It's like, well, we're not getting we might get they're doing a remake. They made like there's like the roguelike one coming out. There was the Metroidvania. Like, there's things, but I don't think we're going to get the big next. I don't think we're going to get Titanfall 3.
Maybe we get
the third in the trilogy.
We might get Titanfall 1 again.
Yeah, or like a multiplayer only thing.
Well, I've got an idea for Titanfall 3.
Okay.
I'm going to pitch to you now, and I think it's a great idea. And as soon as I tell you, you're going to tell me why it's a terrible idea. Okay. We're playing Titanfall 3, single player. I'm playing as Jack Cooper. You are the Titan. That's the idea.
Well,
Co-op.
I get it, but like, what happens when you get in the Titan and you just can't?
I control the body. You control the guns.
But I want to control both.
You can't.
I'll play offline. There we go. That was easy. I wasn't gonna.
Imagine a co-op game where one of you's a Titan, one of you's like, one of you's a Titan, and one of you isn't. Playing as the Titan with a little bit of tweaking could be as fun as playing as.
Yeah, I think you'd have to not be able to go in the Titan, and I think you'd have to do like that sort of.
Or maybe you could have full control of the Titan, but you could add something extra when you're carrying someone else.
Yeah, but I just feel like when would you? Because in Titanfall, you can like go on to someone else's Titan and kind of like rodeo them.
They don't do that in single player either. It's
No,
another thing they've missed out.
Yeah. But no one really does it because, like, why would you? Because you're like better being full Titan or being full Agile.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's definitely something that could be there. But for me, what I really like about Titanfall, and it's mainly in the multiplayer, is that cat and mouse gameplay of like, I'm a little person and there's a Titan. It's like they're stronger, but I'm like super fast. I'm going to run around the walls and I'm going to get a shot off, and then I'm going to duck around somewhere else. And then that's fun on both ends. But it's also fun being a Titan, being like, "Where are you, little guy?
Exactly.
I'm going to squish you." Like
that's a fun dynamic that the single player really didn't make use of. But no, I completely agree.
But then it switches. Then you can do it amount of time, and then I've called him my Titan. And I think that is where like that is the thing that turns us from a great game into like masterpiece territory is that switcher. So I think if you locked like into people into one side.
Another idea. Another kind of idea. You're a cat and I'm a mouse. And if we can have cat and mouse games.
As long as the mouse can turn into a cat and the cat can turn into a mouse.
And add something else to it.
Okay, this little mouse. It's like Ratatouille. Yeah. Controlling the cat, yeah. Brilliant.
Great. But yeah, as you were saying with that cat and mouse thing, imagine a boss fight like that. Like you jumping, or the boss is jumping on you, and you have to like pull him off and I don't know, smash him. Anyway, multiplayer.
Yeah, so we, as I said, we play a little. So I've played this game like overall, like I've played it a decent amount of the multiplayer, but like it's never been like throughout my time playing online games, there's often like a few games that's like I'm just fully in on it. Like obviously like Halo historically, like Quake I said about in the podcast, but like Overwatch, I was obsessed like with it for like 2 years. Yeah. Like Apex Legends was another one. Call of Duty Blackout randomly, like we got really into for about like 5 months or something. And I never had that with this game. It was never in the evening, I'm like, good, I've finished work, now I can play Titanfall 2. I played it for probably about a month when it came out. Then like every now and then I'd be like, I see a bit of like footage from it and I'd be like, oh yeah, that game exists and is amazing, and I'll play it for like 2 weeks. And I think a big reason is I've never had a group of friends to play it with. Like
I played it with you.
No, we had for like 2 weeks or something.
I got to level 19. I played quite a bit.
But with like Overwatch and Halo and stuff, I had like a big group of friends that we'd all play it every night for like years.
Yeah.
You know, like we played it for like a bit. And then
if I wasn't available, I guess you were playing on your own.
Yeah. And I think it is much better with people. So I never had like a friend group where we're all like what time are you logging on Titanfall? And I think because were playing on Xbox, and also just because the game just didn't sell that much. They were playing Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Yeah, it's the just for a primer on the multiplayer, it's very much the Call of Duty 4 template of you progress, you unlock guns, camos, attachments, Titans as well. Do they have different size Titans in the multiplayer?
Yep.
Yeah, so you have different...
Yeah, and like different health.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have different size hitboxes.
And it's mostly game modes you would recognise. Capture the flag, capture the point. But instead of your ultimate or your special move, you can call in your Titan. And you might be like, oh, that sounds one-sided. If someone gets a Titan and I haven't got one, and it's like, yeah, it is. So you need to get your Titan as well, because they will just crush you. But it's fun. It's fun on both sides.
It's one of the things I really love is that strategy of calling in a Titan is so important, because if you end up 2v1 against other Titans, like you're done. Like if you're, especially if you got them shooting from either side, because most of the Titans have some defensive move. Like there's like the most famous one where you kind of like catch the bullets, like Neo style, and fire the bat. Like some is just like a shield that you can shoot through. The one with the sword, like, blocks the bullets with their sword and stuff, but they normally only work in one direction. So if you're getting shot from two sides, you're done. So there's a lot of times where like I'll be like, they have two Titans, I have my Titan ready, and like I'm gonna wait until like my teammates do their Titans. And so you always want to have the same amount of Titans or more than them. So there's so much of the strategy of this game is about when you call in your Titan. And sometimes it will be like you know, there was a game we played the other day where we all had our Titans in, and then most people got destroyed, but I still had my Titan left, and I carried on playing. And I should have probably just ditched it, because it meant that like I was on my own as a Titan. I eventually got destroyed, but then I was behind the countdown to get the next Titan. And
we're all getting crushed the whole time as well, because we're all just little puny humans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so it didn't actually work out. And so that is, and it really, like for most modes, it has that. There is like Last Titan Standing and Pilot versus Pilot, which there's actually a lot of maps built just for pilots, no Titans. And this could be a game without Titans in it. It would still be good. It would still be like so, because the core is so good.
The robot fighting, for anyone that's not played it, even though there is faster robots, it's very much like a battle of attrition. Like you are trying to wear down your enemy more than like, I'm going to dash in and zip behind and get like a backstab with my sword. Like it's very much like you are playing as a 500-ton robot that doesn't move that fast. The sword one, I know that you said you played against people who are good with the sword, but it's like you're probably not going to be able to make much use of it if you're not that good at it.
That's a high skill ceiling.
Yeah, it's like you are like firing a cannon and you are moving slowly. But like the sense of power it's amazing, not only because you can crush the other team, but like as in they're human players, you can step on them, but also because they flood the battle with AI. So it's always like you're fighting 3 times as many enemies as you actually are. So as the Titan, that's really cool, because you can just step through them and like...
Yeah, and that's great for newer players who might not get many kills against other pilots or Titans, but they're still helping the team.
I can't think of anyone like that.
But like you could join and you could be like, I'm just going to go and kill all the grunts. And then there's like the Reapers that come in at the end, which are those other robots. And like you could like rack up a decent... Like it's not like, oh yeah, no, it's just sort of like, we'll give you like a little gold star. No, you get actual points, and that could be the difference maker. So like everyone can be like valuable to the team, even if you are struggling. Because that is one of the things that I found playing this time, is because this game's been out for so long, is that like most people playing have been playing for a long time. You know, the chances are when you're playing a game this old, like you're not playing against other people that also randomly decided to start playing this week. So, we were playing with members of the Discord community, and a lot of them, this was their first time playing multiplayer or Titanfall at all. And so we were going up against people who played it like much more than us. And it's not a good game to be getting beaten one-sided, because once they start getting Titans in before it's hard. Like, no, like, in Call of Duty or Halo, like sometimes you can be like, you know what, I can brute force this because it's just me with my gun and them with their gun. Like if I play really well, I can still try. But in this game, it's like, well, there's like 6 giant robots, like this, there's not
stomping on everyone.
I'm like grenade, like I don't
know. Actually, on the multiplayer, if anyone is interested in trying it out, what I've heard from a reliable source is you should play on PC, because that's where the biggest player base is.
Yeah, makes sense.
But the official PC servers are absolutely riddled with cheaters.
Yeah.
Like it's really bad. But my little brother actually tweeted us and said North Star Client on the PC is where like the community are actually playing. There's no cheaters on there. you can add mods to the game, like add new levels and cut content they've managed to re-add back in. And I'm sure because they're a good community, they would probably be a bit better at helping you play than the mad psychos on console.
To be fair though, people that are like playing PC version with like these mods and this like client that might not be immediately obvious how to get to, I feel like you're gonna be going against good players.
You'll be going against good players, but I feel like they might be completely guessing that they might be like, oh my god, a new player, we should impart some knowledge rather than just crush them.
But I mean, playing on Xbox was like, there would be a wait to find a game, but like rarely more than 5 minutes. So, it's not instant, but you would find, and I bet it's probably a bit better on PlayStation just because just slightly bigger audience on PlayStation, I assume.
Yeah, we're making a lot of assumptions here. Educated guesses. We're making educated guesses.
I assume a lot of the people are playing on PS5, and there's more PS5s in the world than Xbox Series X or S's, so that's a guess. But
true.
I'd assume that they're both fine. But yeah, just with the multiplayer, like one of the things I think Respawn does really well, and this is I've seen across like all of their games, like Jedi Survivor as well, is like I think they're really good at not just following the norm in terms of there's a lot of assumptions like this is the way a game should be. And they're really good at being like, just not completely throwing that out, but just doing a slight little deviation just to make every little aspect just a little bit better or a bit more interesting. Like the way they did like the ping system on Apex, like there's like a happy hour thing where you can set like a time, to your schedule, you'll get bonus points.
Yeah,
and
so you can basically set up your own group, can't you?
Yeah.
But that group can be like 1,000 people. And then you can say, we all play at 5 p.m. UK time. And if you play then, you get double XP or something. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you get some sort of reward. It also means that people are likely to be on at the same time, and you can
so clever.
Yeah, and then also like in the game when a team loses, there's also like this little last mission where like this dropship comes down, and you got to try and get to and there's a bit of a delay, and then it shows up, and you got to get to the dropship while the enemy team are all trying to kill you or destroy the dropship, and it's like you've lost the game, but you could like if you get to the dropship, you feel like you've won. Like it's like I've lost, but I got to the. It's like another little opportunity, and it's like such like a cool little thing, and you can look across the board for like any little time where they had a little decision to be made, like it just feels like they made the right one. And I think that's kind of Respawn have been able to back that up kind of across all of their games. Yeah. And so like when you look at a game like this, you can look at it and be like, okay, it looks like a military shooter, like the Titanfall thing is quite cool, like with the robots and that. But until you kind of play it and like explore like all aspects of it, it's kind of hard to kind of realize just how high the quality is kind of across every aspect of design in this game.
It's fun just to move.
Yeah.
It's fun just to run around. You can run around an empty map and have fun in this game. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Shall we... Is there anything else you wanted to comment on?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think maybe we should go to the list.
Yep, let's put it on the list.
Sweet.
Did you know we have a Patreon? Maybe you're unsure what that is.
Patreon allows you to support us directly, and in return you get exclusive stuff. Access to our Discord server, behind-the-scenes content, and an exclusive podcast series.
Your support means we can up our production and continue making fun videos. You can join us at patreon.com/the bonus points. And it has a free trial too.
Woohoo! Okay, so the list is up. This is going to be the 68th entry on the list.
Oh my god.
Anything you need to get off your chest before we go into this? Or are you happy with the list as it stands as much as we ever are happy about anything in life?
I'm happy about it. Are you happy about it? Are you happy about Pokemon?
No, I've been like that's like my feeling hasn't like there's no developments there.
Okay.
Like I mean you're not going to budge, right? So is there?
No, I haven't.
Are you?
I haven't budged.
You haven't evolved your opinion?
Did you?
Little Pokemon joke there? You don't want it to Bulbasaur to new heights, do you?
Bulbasaur! Look, I pick and choose where it went, and I liked where it was.
I didn't know if you wanted to muse over it a little bit more. Because I want to muse too.
That's good. That's good. There's no more. Can we just stop it there? I don't want any pressure to think of another one because
Okay.
I can't do anymore.
No, I'm done.
Okay,
I'm done. Honestly, I'm
you're
not.
done. Have you continued with Pokemon since the show?
No, but as I will, but like I haven't been away. I haven't been like it's my Game Boy game. So next time I go traveling, I will be bringing it with me. But yeah, I've been at home, so not been playing it.
All right, no worries.
I will.
Okay, Titanfall 2. For me, can we go straight into this?
Yeah, please do.
For me, it's like this could be a top 10 game, but then realizing what I've realized about it by looking at it too closely, feel like I've kind of spoiled it for myself, and maybe it's moving down more to late teens sort of area.
Okay, that's lower than I was thinking.
But I was thinking, it could be like above Portal 2 is where I was. But can it be a top 10 game when it's got these funny little things wrong with it, like the story doesn't exist? And
I think because I'm much more into the multiplayer, that I'm probably weighing multiplayer much more than you.
Mm-hmm.
I think for that reason, I think from our discussion, and to be honest, we've discussed this game before because I think I was in your room when you were playing it the first time on campus. I think I remember being with you when you were. So it's like I knew, we both knew we were going to be liking this game going in. So I think, from my judgment, we both like the campaign pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But I think I probably like multiplayer more, just because I like multiplayer shooters much more than you, and this is one of the best.
I can see
ever
it's
made.
one of the good ones. I can see that. I can completely see it's one of the good ones.
Yeah, and it has the legs, it has the depth. There's like some shooters that is has spectacle or has like its gimmick, but it doesn't last. Whereas this is a game that has its depth and like it's balanced pretty well. It has enough kind of interesting things and customization. All the progression is just like quite satisfying as far as those go. So for me, I think it would just scrape in. I wouldn't put it above Portal 2, but for me, it would just scrape in at number 10 and knock GTA 5 out.
GTA 5?
I know, but you like GTA 5 wouldn't have made the top 10 for me personally.
Okay. I did also say Titanfall 2 could be a top 10 game. So maybe just scraping the 10 is a good place for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't put Portal. I don't think...
the amount of fun I had with Titanfall 2 compared to Portal 2 is astronomical.
You had one more fun with Portal 2?
No, with Titanfall 2. Like, I was literally beaming the whole time I was playing Titanfall 2.
It's a different type of game.
I know it's a different type of game. It's such a good one.
Yeah.
And do you know what? The fact that it's 4 hours long, bit annoying it's not longer, but at the same time, it's like, it kind of stops exactly at an okay time. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't... Portal 2 is so long, and it was like, we're just doing Portal 1 again over and over again, whereas Titanfall 2 is like, we got this level, we got this level, we got this level, see you later.
You do Portal 2 so days. Sometimes.
That's what it's like.
It's not. It's like every... I mean, yeah, I think I like
If
Portal
it's so
2
good, why don't they make a third one?
because it wouldn't be possible to make it better than the second one.
Actually, also, one thing I've just been reminded of looking at Portal 2, in Titanfall 2, in the time-changing level, it doesn't really take advantage of the fact that you're changing time, does it?
In Titanfall 2?
Yeah, it's kind of more like you're just changing between two dimensions. Like, I want it to be like, I'd go back in time, smash a window, go forward in time, and the window's broken.
Yeah, so the game is a very streamlined, push you forward kind of game. So, funnily enough, Titanfall 2 came out at really similar time to Dishonored 2.
Yeah,
which had a very similar level where you're in like you're in like a mansion switching between times, but it kind of goes a step further where you kind of have this device, this bit of glass that allows you to see to the other time, and it does probably a lot more of the things you'd expect, like where it's like, I need to get into this safe, so I go to the old time, and it has like different types of enemies, and it's less of like give your mate the controller and go look at this kind of game, because it's a much longer level, but it is able to explore those further. And neither of them copied each other. They were obviously both developed in tandem. So it's kind of weird that like at that exact same time those ideas kind of popped up separately.
Doesn't Dishonored 2 also have one that's like a house being built?
Yeah. It's not being built. It's the Clockwork Mansion. And
I've seen videos of it. It's like the walls folding in.
And then you get to go behind, and I mean, Dishonored 2 is one of my absolute favorite games of all time, and I think those are two absolute masterpiece levels, and I'd probably rate both those levels over the Titanfall 2 equivalent.
Yeah, the Titanfall 2, that was the one I forgot to mention, but yeah, like when it was one of those things where you look at it a little bit closer, and it's like, it doesn't really make a difference that I'm changing time. There's no, like, imagine if you do you remember on what's it called, Time Splitters Future Perfect, where you like hand yourself a key? They could have had something like that in it. There's nothing like that in it at all. It's like, just changing it for the sake of it, and you don't really know what you're changing it to or from. It's like, It's cool. It's very good level.
They were going for like a pace and
something quick,
and and to appeal to like as wide an audience of players as possible. Like was probably like part of the remit. So I think they probably wanted to keep the simplicity and the difficulty, and obviously like they had a deadline, you know, like a pretty tight one. It seems like. So yeah, like obviously there's more that they could explore, and I'm sure in a Titanfall 3 they would love to do that. But like I didn't feel like it felt lacking. It felt like that was really fun. Like what's next? What's next? What's next? You know, there's always something next. So it doesn't really it doesn't, you know, it's not like they had the cool thing and then it runs out of steam. It's like no, they have like loads of cool things, and like you can hardly hold them all. There's so many.
All right, well look, I'm happy to put it above Grand Theft Auto.
Okay,
but I'm hoping to finish Grand Theft Auto. I'm only 9 missions from the end. I do like 1 mission a week because it's really long. So maybe once I finish it, I might move it back up.
Yeah, I guess maybe the ending of GTA 5.
I don't know how it ends. Like I don't know what's going to happen. Like it's crazy where I am now. It's like they're basically like Trevor is bad and we can't have him around anymore. And Michael's like,
oh yeah,
I guess we better do something about it then. That's about roughly where
Trevor
I am.
Trevor becomes a bit of a liability.
Yeah, I just did the FBI. You storm the FBI building and like. I can't remember exactly what you're doing, but it was amazing. So
yeah, didn't get a bug on that level.
I did get a bug.
Did you get any bugs during Titanfall 2?
I don't think I did.
I don't need to push my luck. I've got my wish. Oh, chat! Oh, this is exciting. I didn't know this was going to be a top 10 Switch episode. These are always exciting.
The game absolutely rules. Like we both know it's so good.
Yeah, but as always, I always forget. I never think about the end of this. I always think about the conversation. I always kind of forget about the list bit. It always takes me off guard at the end of the episode. So I'm excited. Can I do a full top 10 countdown?
I think you should do it from 1 to 10.
Yeah, I do 1 to 10, seeing as the new one is at 10. So yeah, this is especially for audio listeners, but for everyone, this is the top 10 as it stands out of 67 games. Out of a lot of games, we have at number 1 Baldur's Gate 3, at number 2 Disco Elysium. At number 3, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. At number 4, Alan Wake 2. At number 5, Death Stranding. At number 6, Hollow Knight. At number 7, The Last of Us Part 2. At number 8, the original Last of Us. At number 9, Portal 2. And new at number 10 is Titanfall 2. Congratulations. Congrats, Jack Cooper. Nearly forgot your name, Jack, but don't know how.
Mr. Gunman. But anyone watching this that's got Game Pass, it's on Game Pass.
Oh, is it Game Pass?
It's on Game Pass. It's EA. Yeah, it's part of Game Pass now. Or you can get it on Steam for like £3. Like, I seriously implore you to play this game, especially because you can finish it in an afternoon. Yeah. Like, it's phenomenal.
Ollie will personally reimburse you if you don't enjoy it. That's his guarantee.
Only if you don't enjoy it, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant if they just buy it. Yeah, money, I told them to.
Money back guarantee.
Yeah. If you can find me.
I've been running along the wall. You'll never catch me. I'm invisible.
Cat and mouse.
I'll be the
mouse. Anyway, do you want to hear what's coming up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right. So next time, another short game. Indica, August 9th. That's a new-ish, the last couple of months that's come out. So yeah, 4 hours that one is. And then on August 23rd, we got Splinter Cell Blacklist. And we're playing the newer. There's 2 versions of that game, right?
Oh, is there?
Yeah, because there's the Xbox like original. Well, there's like some sort of. I think there's some sort of. We'll make sure we play the same version.
Okay.
It's like Titanfall 1, you know, like there's 2 versions of it.
Yeah, they're not drastically different.
I think they are.
Oh, are they?
They are, yeah.
Okay, we're playing one of them.
Yeah, I'll figure out which one. When I do the post, I'll put which one
I'm playing on PC.
I'll make sure I'm playing the same one. So Splinter Cell Blacklist, August 23rd. And then way in the future, October 18th, we're playing Dead Rising Deluxe Remake, baby, which I can't wait for. I think this is my prediction, time has been very kind to that game.
So this is basically, it's Dead Rising 1, right? But
Dead Rising
prettier.
1.
But just Dead Rising 1?
Just Dead Rising 1.
Cool. I've never played the demo, never played for it all. That's one to mark on your calendars, everyone.
So there we go, that's it.
So there's one other thing. Cool thing is I have a code for Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, which is the masterpiece, in my opinion, DLC for Elden Ring. And I got a spare code. So it's on PlayStation 5 only. So what we're going to do, because we wanted to give it out, is we're just going to pick at random someone out of the next 10 people to sign up to Patreon. We'll pick them at random. We'll message you through Patreon. So if you do sign up, like look out on there. And we'll offer you the code. If you don't have a PS5 and don't need it, then just let us know and we'll pick someone else at random. But yeah, if you want Shadow Erdtree on PS5, you have like a 1 in 10 chance, which is
pretty good.
Better odds than most most things.
And because you don't know about this, but Patreon has a free trial. I'm going to count free trials on that.
Okay.
I'm counting free trials. So.
Yeah, so for literally for free,
you
can be in the chance to do that. I think it's like 30 quid or something. It's not like, it's basically a game. It's like it's so big. It's like kind of Elden Ring like 1.5.
I think
or whatever.
Next Extra Credit, which is our Patreon exclusive podcast, you can have a proper Shadow of the Erdtree. You've not got it out your system because you were off.
Yeah, I was ill, and then like the last. Actually, good to mention the last Extra Credit we did was like a really cool community one where we kind of did call-ins. Ollie prepared like a bunch of interesting kind of questions and conundrums and things we had to come up with at a very strict time limit. So yeah, definitely if you never checked out an Extra Credit, I mean the last one wasn't a normal one, but it's probably a pretty fun one.
It was cool though because we were like getting people from the audience and they were like joining us for the podcast for like 4 minutes, and then like they were all so polite. I can't believe they all left so easily.
We have a lovely community on Discord.
They would like excuse themselves from the show. They'd be like, "Oh, thank you. Like, thanks, bye." Like, "Oh, okay." Like, I was expecting to be like, "Okay, we're done." Like, they were like, "Yeah, cheers, everyone." It's like, "Oh, everyone is so nice."
Yeah.
Like,
there was a really good feel good because we got a lovely Discord community, but that was like it's rare that you just go and talk to so many different people because we do loads of game nights and stuff, but often it's like there's certain people that are kind of more up for kind of multiplayer games, game nights. And so there's, some people that, at least I don't talk to as much on the Discord. So it was kind of cool hearing all of those people.
Because they say you're a sore winner. That's why I don't like playing game nights with you. They don't like that you rub it in their faces when you beat them.
I don't win much.
But when you do, you really will.
Yeah, I got to make the most of it. All right. Anything else that you want to announce before we get out of here?
There's a cool video coming, but it's still in production. But that's it.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
You mentioned it on the skate episode as well.
Yeah, I know.
But it's still not ready. So
yeah.
It's coming.
We'll keep mentioning it for the rest of the year until we can catch that goat. That's going to be the end of this podcast here. Join us in 2 weeks' time where we're going to be discussing and ranking Indica. Apart from that, cheers for watching or listening, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.